having that cover in place has allowed myself and my wife to really focus on what's important and make certain decisions to better our situation. Gradually, over a period of time, I started to notice changes in my body, changes in my energy levels. There were particular symptoms that I became more aware of. Doing the job I do, obviously it's my role to spend time with clients talking about their medical history, and it was in having those conversations with clients that I realised I ticked a lot of boxes myself and kind of opened my eyes to perhaps, well, actually, if providers want to know the answers to these questions, then maybe there's something there. So I was diagnosed in September of 2018. I suppose it is quite a daunting moment to be given the news that you have multiple sclerosis. It did sort of, it's that kind of situation you see in the films where someone gets some news and it kind of takes them back and then they don't really listen to the rest of the conversation. But I was almost expecting it to some extent. When I eventually went to see the specialist, having had tests and things like that done, I thought I was prepared for the diagnosis, and then obviously I was then told the news and it became suddenly very real then, and it's sort of been life-changing from there, really. Putting critical illness cover in place does bring that peace of mind, and it's something that I certainly felt after the policy was live. I think you become paranoid if you know you need to sort your insurance out and you haven't sorted it out yet. You wouldn't drive a car off the forecourt without your insurance because you just assume you're gonna have a crash on the way home. You don't want to tempt fate. So as soon as it's done, you know, right, if anything was to happen, you can't stop certain things from happening, but you now know that if it did happen, well, at least you're covered. It's invaluable, and I did feel like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. Obviously, it doesn't change my diagnosis, and if I could swap the cover to not have the diagnosis, I would, but it has brought peace of mind to me and my family. I was married 18 months before my diagnosis, and my wife and I have started a family, or we're expecting our first child this month. So just having some money in the bank that we know is there, we can fall back on it if I'm unable to work, potentially, or if we had other outgoings that we needed to pay for. It gives us options and it gives us peace of mind, and I can't imagine what it would have been like going through what I've been through so far without that support. I can't imagine what it might have been like to be in a situation without that cover. And likewise for life insurance, I couldn't bear the thought of leaving my wife, my family, to pick up the pieces if I'm not here and have to sell the house, have to take a second job, or to think about the child that we're bringing into the world now, having to go without, not being able to go on school trips, not being able to have the latest phones or technology or whatever the current thing is, all because I didn't put protection in place. So I think it's really important that people disassociate the protection as just being something that people need if you have a mortgage. It's something that everybody needs. So I think the misconception with insurance is that it's a nice to have, or it's something I don't need, or it's something I'll sort out later. With many other insurances, we're told we have to have it before something happens. So we have to have buildings and contents insurance to get our mortgage because that's what the lender wants. We have to have car insurance because we're not allowed, it's illegal to drive the car without it. It should be the same approach with life insurance and critical illness cover, because it's only at the point where you find out you needed it and you don't have it that you realise the importance of it. Or when something has happened to you, you are so grateful that you put the policy in place and that you listened to whoever gave you that advice. It is the responsibility of every individual to look at the situation, think about what it would be like if you weren't here anymore. As an advisor, I have to have a lot of difficult conversations with people and make them think about things they don't want to think about. I have to make someone think about what it would be like to leave their children without a guardian, without the parent. I have to make people think about what it would be like if you were walking down the street and then you had a heart attack and you couldn't do your job anymore, or you had a stroke, or you were off work for 2 years battling a disease and your finances were suddenly so important, you couldn't pay your mortgage, you couldn't pay your bills, you had to sell your house, you had to go on to benefits or had to take income support in some other way. I think it's something that people retrospectively often wish they had, or I wish I'd sorted that out and it's a big regret, or I wish I'd taken out a bigger policy. You think, I can drink one less pint of beer every weekend and put that to my policy, but you'll be glad that you put cover in place if and when you ever need it.